JSON short story, the email arrived, another curt no. My big dream felt like a distant echo buried under years of self-doubt and paralyzing procrastination. I felt trapped, watching others live their lives, convinced I wasn't good enough to even begin. That inner critic was relentless. /n/n, then, one ordinary Tuesday, something shifted. I was tired of waiting. I committed to just 10 minutes. 10 minutes every single morning, focused solely on my passion project. No pressure for perfection, just consistent effort. Slowly, those tiny actions stacked up. Momentum built. I built it, launched it, and felt an incredible rush when I saw the first genuine connection. /n/n, you might feel that same heavy pull today. Don't let it win. Today, choose one small step. Dedicate 10 minutes to that one thing you keep avoiding. Full story, I remember the crushing weight of that particular email. Not just a rejection, but the final, definitive no that echoed all the others. My hands trembled as I read it, sitting alone in my tiny apartment, the glow of my laptop reflecting the emptiness I felt inside. This wasn't just about one project. It was about every dream I'd ever chased, every creative idea I'd ever poured my soul into, only to see it evaporate. It felt like my life was a broken record of trying, failing, and then retreating. /n/n growing up, I was always the kid with a sketchbook, the one writing stories instead of playing sports. I dreamed of creating something real, something that would resonate with people, that would make a difference, however small. But somewhere along the way, life, or rather my choices, led me down a different path. I got a stable job, a routine that slowly dulled my edges. My creative fire dwindled, replaced by the mundane rhythm of paychecks and responsibilities. Years passed. The sketchbook gathered dust on a shelf. My big ideas remained just that, ideas, floating around in my head, never quite landing. Every time I tried to start something new, that familiar whisper of not good enough would surface. It wasn't external criticism that held me back, it was me. My own fear of failure, my fear of not being perfect, kept me paralyzed. I'd start a project, get excited, outline the first few steps, and then, as soon as I hit a tiny roadblock, instead of pushing through, I'd abandon it. A pile of unfinished work grew, a monument to my creative cowardice. I watched friends launch businesses, publish books, travel the world on their own terms, and all I could do was scroll through social media, a knot of envy and regret tightening in my stomach. I was 30, then 32, then 35, and felt like I was still waiting for my real life to begin. The weight of that stagnant potential was crushing. /n/n, that particular email, the one that triggered the hook, arrived just after my 35th birthday. It was the last straw. I sat there defeated, but something different stirred within me. Not anger, not despair, but a quiet, resolute defiance. I was tired of living this way. I remember looking at my desk, at an old, half-finished project I'd been avoiding for months, a simple online course idea I had. It felt overwhelming. Perfectionist in me wanted to outline every single module, design every graphic, write every word, proofread it all a dozen times before even allowing myself to start. But that day, I decided to ignore that suffocating voice. I made a new rule, just 10 minutes. 10 minutes every single morning. Before checking emails, before coffee, before anything else, I would work on my project. Not for perfection, just for progress. The goal wasn't to finish the entire course. The goal was simply to show up for 10 minutes. /n/n, the first few days were brutal. My mind would race. This is stupid, you're wasting your time, what if no one cares about this? This is never going to work. Every negative thought imaginable tried to derail me. But I held to my 10 minutes. Some mornings, all I did was write one sentence. Other mornings, I just stared at the blank screen, but I stayed for the full 10 minutes, forcing myself to sit there. Magic wasn't in the output during those initial days. It was in the unwavering consistency. Slowly, imperceptibly, something shifted. I started looking forward to those 10 minutes. It became my sacred time, a tiny island of creation in a sea of routine. One morning, I actually felt a spark. An idea for a lesson module came to me clearly, and I typed for 15 minutes that day without even realizing I'd gone over. The next week, I committed to completing just one small section of the course. It took me 3 days to write 200 words. It felt agonizingly slow, like pushing a boulder uphill, but it was done. That small win, that tiny completion was like a jolt of electricity. I remember the thrill of seeing that section marked complete on my project board. It wasn't perfect, far from it, full of typos and awkward phrasing, but it was real. /n/n, there were countless days I still wanted to quit. Days I woke up late, feeling like I'd already failed before the 10 minutes even started. But I'd just start whenever I could. It became less about perfect execution and more about the simple act of showing up. I learned to embrace the ugly first draft. I realized that progress, no matter how small, compounded over time. I made a habit of reviewing my small wins each week, seeing the tiny steps add up to actual pages, actual lessons. It wasn't glamorous. It was often tedious. There were late nights, early mornings, and weekends spent hunched over my laptop while friends were out living their lives. I sacrificed social events, TV time, even some sleep. But each time I wanted to give up, I'd remember that feeling of being stuck, that heavy weight of regret, and I'd choose the grind instead. It wasn't always easy to see the forest for the trees, but I kept my head down, focusing on the next tiny, achievable step. I learned to love the process, the act of creation itself, more than the imagined perfect outcome. The struggle became part of the story, not a reason to stop. I accepted that imperfection was part of the journey. /n/n, after nearly a year of those 10-minute increments, my online course was done. It wasn't a masterpiece, but it was complete. I launched it quietly, almost terrified, expecting nothing. The first few days were silent. Then an email popped up, "Thank you, this course is exactly what I needed." Followed by another, then another, genuine messages of appreciation. The breakthrough wasn't just the launch. It was seeing my work resonate with someone else, seeing it genuinely help them. It was knowing that my small, consistent efforts had actually created something of value. I had gone from being a spectator in my own life to an active creator. I had proven to myself that I could finish what I started. That course wasn't just a course. It was a testament to the power of tiny, consistent action. It opened doors I never imagined, led to new collaborations, and even allowed me to eventually transition away from that stable job, pursuing my passions full-time. More importantly, it taught me that the biggest barrier was always internal, and the solution was always to just start, and then keep going. /n/n, the single most powerful lesson I learned, the one thing you can copy, is this: don't wait for motivation, create momentum. Motivation is fleeting, unreliable. Momentum is built by showing up, especially on the days you absolutely don't feel like it. Break your big goal into the absolute smallest possible action, then commit to doing just that one tiny thing every single day. Even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes. The act of showing up consistently builds incredible internal resilience and external results. Don't worry about perfection, worry about progress. Don't compare your messy first steps to someone else's finished masterpiece. Just take your next small step. /n/n, your biggest dream might feel like a distant star right now, impossibly far away, shrouded in doubt and fear. But I promise you, it's not. It's built brick by brick, minute by minute, by the choices you make today. That feeling of being stuck, that fear, that inner critic, I know it well. But you have the power to quiet it, not by arguing with it, but by acting despite it. Don't let another day pass by watching from the sidelines. Your story is waiting to be written. Your potential is limitless, but it requires activation. You don't need to see the whole staircase, just take the first step. Today, you have a choice. Will you stay where you are, trapped by indecision, or will you choose to begin? The first step is always the hardest, but it's also the most important. It's the one that changes everything. Today, choose one small step. Identify one tiny action you can take towards your biggest goal, and just do it for 10 minutes. Sessioned AE23F1B97C8D, 4E0A9, F5B61C2A3, F4B5E.